the most enlightened thing to be is human. Your true nature will express when it is unresisted as a very, very natural human being. We think because we see these teachers in robes and cloaks and God knows what in God knows where, that we need to be and act and behave in accordance to how they do. And what happens is we have an experience of our true nature, but we still have this expectation about how we should be and how we should behave. And what happens is this again becomes a subtle resistance to ourself. So the biggest thing we can notice, the most important thing that you can see, is that when you start to behave in accordance to your true nature, guess what's going to happen? You're going to have more imperfections. You're going to actually start giving yourself the freedom to be who you are as a human being. And that's going to come with a package of sometimes behaving out of alignment with what you know to be true. That's a natural mistake to make. The problem is that we don't think that we should be natural. We think that we should be a perfect embodiment of the Buddha. We think that we should be floating around made of gold in a robe with some kind of shaved head. It's ridiculous. This is not how we're supposed to behave. The Buddha is not an accurate representation of how a human being should be. The Buddha was an embodiment, like a physical embodiment of pure consciousness. That's the representation of the Buddha. Our job is to not be an accurate representation of pure consciousness in its pure condition, because guess what? Consciousness isn't expressing in its pure condition when it's in the world. Because the natural expression of consciousness isn't in its pure condition, it's actually in the human experience, which is when we're having talks, we have relationships, we fart, we poo, we pee, we do all these human things. We make mistakes. So give yourself the freedom to be human. Give yourself the freedom to be imperfect. Because what's going to happen is that you have two options. The first option is that you assume that you're enlightened and then start behaving like an enlightened person, which, by the way, there isn't one, because there's only one enlightened thing that they could ever claim to be an enlightened being, right? There's not more than one being to claim that. So you can't assume that. So then the only other option is that you're just going to be a natural human being. A natural human being isn't going to be ashamed if they act out of alignment with the truth. They're not going to feel guilty if they're acting out of alignment with the truth. They're going to be giving themselves the freedom to make these mistakes. And this is the problem, is that we find ourselves trying to behave in a certain way, where it's a load of nonsense. There's no way to behave. Every single enlightened sage that we know has made very, very human mistakes decades after they're supposed to be enlightened. So we need to cut ourselves some slack and give ourselves the freedom to be, because the most enlightened thing to be is human. Contradictory to what you've probably heard your enlightened sage say. It's a complete mistake to think that we should be anything other than our natural humanity, because the minute we try to be something else, we're trying to change ourselves again. We're trying to change something in experience that is natural. So we're moving in accordance with nature. Nature is an expression of consciousness, just like colors are an expression of light. If you look at white light, it doesn't have color, but the minute you express that, it has colors. And this is what we're experiencing, the colors of life. This is how consciousness expresses when it's refracted through the finite mind, in the same way that color is how light expresses when it's refracted through a prism. So we can give ourselves to feel these things. Fear is natural, grief is natural, sadness is natural, frustration is natural. The only unnatural thing is when we are resisting these things. So in ignorance, we feel anger, frustration, sadness, and we resist it, and we suffer. Then we go on a spiritual path. Then, like a normal human being, when we're watching Marley and Me or some sad film or the Notebook, we feel emotion, we feel sad, we feel what the movie is provoking, which is natural. But in our life, we resist it. We resist the grief, there's blame, there's regret, there's shame. We resist the sadness. I should have done this, I should have done that, I regret this, I regret that. We resist the fear. Fear is a natural experience. Anger is a natural experience. We can't remove anger. The only thing you can remove from anger is the blame and shame and guilt that are attached to anger. So when we're being human, if we were actually doing a good job of being human, there would be no resistance to it. The only time there is resistance to it is when we say, I, the enlightened soul, shouldn't be experiencing anger. I shouldn't be frustrated. I shouldn't be sad. I shouldn't grieve. when somebody dies, I should be an enlightened soul. I should be an enlightened person. They don't experience this. I must have misunderstood something. I must be wrong. You see? It's a load of nonsense. Cry when the prompt is to cry. Smile when the prompt is to smile. Be a natural human being, because that is exactly how you express as your natural true nature. You are naturally being a human, which means that anything, think of it like this, anything a movie can provoke in you when you're watching it is a natural emotion. Think about it. No movies provoke guilt, shame, blame, resentment, hatred. No movies provoke that in us. And if they did, we wouldn't watch them. They would be the worst movies ever. But good movies, they provoke sadness. They can provoke frustration when the main character's going through some shit. They can provoke joy. They can provoke excitement. These are all natural things to experience. So experience them naturally. The minute you think you're more awakened than to be able to experience that, you are completely missing the point. So let yourself be natural. Let yourself be human. Do all the stuff that you love and cry when the prompt is to cry. You're not going to remove any natural human emotions, because if you want to feel any of them, you have to feel all of them. The only things that we want to look out for is any blame, shame, guilt, hatred, and resentment that come from those experiences. If those experiences are filled with the blame, shame, guilt, resentment, they're resistance things. They are naturally unnatural. They're natural while they're there, but they're not natural to stay. You see, like an umbilical cord. So we want to be able to essentially feel everything without resisting it. And that will mean there will be no suffering as a consequence. So the goal is to not suffer, not to not feel emotions, right? So we can't remove the humanity from us. It is exactly what we're here to experience. The minute you try to disregard that, you're disregarding the truth. So let this video be a testament to your own natural humanity. Take a step back from what your non-dual teachers are trying to tell you about not experiencing God knows what and not suffering, because there needs to be clarity on exactly what it is that we're trying to be. And the clarity in the moment right now is to be human. And that is to naturally be everything that you are without giving yourself resistance to it. So give yourself the freedom to be. Give yourself the freedom to be human, and give yourself the freedom to suffer. If you're suffering, if you find yourself suffering the grief and the blame and the guilt, if you find yourself in the vibration of resistance, which is guilt, shame, blame, hatred, give yourself the freedom to suffer. The problem is that you're not giving yourself the freedom to suffer. So what you do is you basically feel these resistances, and then you think, oh, I shouldn't be feeling this. I'm more awakened than this, and you resist it again. So the paradox is, if you are in the mode of experiencing these vibrations of resistance and suffering, give yourself the freedom to suffer. And the minute you do that, you're going to stop suffering, because you cannot give something freedom and have that thing still resist. It's not possible. So I hope you found this video helpful. I have a free community. The link is in the description. And if you're interested, I would love to see you there. Have an amazing day, guys. Take care. Bye.